Maniacs, Megalomaniacs. We know so many of them. Some people might even be here in this panel. Not really, but they're filled throughout the Marvel Universe. The Marvel Universe is filled with Megalomaniacs, and we're going to talk about them. You know what else is filled with Megalomaniacs? Legion and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We're going to tackle those newest episodes, the Maniacs who are in them, and why we love them. Marvel TV Weekly starts now.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
You know, choosing this song really led to some controversy before we started as to whether or not Flashdance is a good movie. I think that's what we're going to spend the hour on. Not really, but Footloose is better. Welcome to Marvel TV Weekly. I am Christian Bladt, joined, as always, by the one and only Michael Shirley.
Yep, that's me. I'm ripping Christian Bladt with my Black Cat.
That's right. You really did it.
Yeah. I was a guest on the panel.
In an upcoming episode, you'll hear Michael, and I gave him a Black Cat shirt, and he managed to make it fashionable. Follow us for a closer look at that. And Amy Cassandra Martinez.
Yes, hi. I want a shirt too.
Well, have to go on the Black Cast.
You have to go on the Black Cast. So
I will have to do that.
All right. And, I feel like you and I have already talked about Legion, but we'll do it again in a little bit anyway. And Kari Lane.
What's up? I'm gonna do it. I'll be a guest too.
Look, that's all it takes.
Yay.
You know, you just have to be on the show and then you get one. Anyway, and that goes for you, Black Cast Nation. I don't think I hear anything. Does anybody hear anything?
No.
Tony B. Tony.
Definitely no Tony.
Is that Tony B. Tony underscore
He's
in the
like,
booth?
ahem.
It be Tony.
Hey, Tony, what be going on?
I want a shirt.
You want a Black Cat shirt too. The best part of the Black Cat shirt is that I literally stole the font from the Amazing Spider-Man logo. But anyway.
Sweet.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Anyway, so much to talk about. And we are going to talk about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Momentarily. But let's start off talking about the future of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Not the future that they were in the beginning of the season, but the fact that ABC's upfronts are Tuesday. And we still don't know for sure one way or the other. If it was definitely being canceled, you feel like we'd know. But at the same time, there are some theories that they might bust out the new Warriors show that kind of went away from Freeform. And they want to get that all buttoned down, and then they want to be able to say, hey, so no more Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but now we have new Warriors. I don't think it's going to be a good replacement if they do that. But so we literally don't know. There's one episode left in this season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and we have no idea as to whether or not it's a season finale or series finale. I just have the feeling, and because I'm a pessimist, I feel like it is canceled. That'll be the series finale. And I also, when we get to the talk of the episode, I think that people are going to be very upset. These are all my predictions. I haven't seen or anything. Exactly. Michael, what do you think? I know we've talked about this in recent weeks, but now it's crunch time.
I don't think it's going to get canceled. I think if it was going to get canceled, we would have known. It would be hailed as the final season.
They only just canceled Inhumans, today.
Stop.
No, they officially announced it today.
They deleted the webpage months ago.
All right, but
so.
I don't know. Maybe Lockjaw just teleported it somewhere else. Amy, what do you think? I was called it Legions of S.H.I.E.L.D. What a great crossover that is.
show.
I would watch that show. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., yay or nay? You think it's going to continue?
Yes.
You just want it to continue, though.
I don't know about that. A little bit, yes, I guess, because I think we would all like to say goodbye, our official goodbyes with the show, and I think they would want it to be.
I think that the people on the show would like a chance to say goodbye, but yeah. What do you think, Kari?
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning that I would think if they were leaning towards canceled, they would have said something more, so that, because then you go out with a bang of, it's the season finale, show finale, and have more people tune in. I like your idea that maybe it's getting ready for a transition of some sort.
Yeah.
That could be a possibility too. Or maybe this will be the end for now, and maybe they'll do a half something or whatever.
One possibility, sort of hedging your bets, is they could do a 13-episode season.
Yeah, just do a
just to let's tidy it up.
Even a 6-episode season.
They could do that too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, and I think that something like that. I think if it does come back, it's not going to be for 22 episodes.
No,
I think
I don't
it's
think that,
going to just
maybe.
be a final hurrah. Look, it's going to have, I think, 110 episodes. And, magic number for selling shows worldwide is 100. So once you have that.
Syndication.
That's right, syndication money. Make that syndication money, Tony.
I think that would be real cheap. I mean, I think that would be a real... don't know. That would rub me the wrong way if I was like, oh, they only did this
Mm-hmm.
season just to get syndication.
Well, that was part. I mean, I think from all accounts, ABC didn't want this season that we just got. But Disney was like, no, we need to get to 100. And I don't know. I think this is one of the best seasons. I really like the space part.
Yeah, it's been a really good season. He just gave you a look and so
I know.
I
laughed.
just was surprised you said that.
I do because I have. I think the other seasons tended to be uneven, and I think this one was consistent all the way through. Now,
been
if
an
the
exciting
finale,
season.
if the finale really, what's the bed, maybe it'll change my opinion.
Yeah.
But I feel pretty good about it.
Well, we do have a live chat going on, so if you are watching this
Yeah.
on YouTube, please join us in the live chat or comment down below if you're watching this later. ABK88 says the network has advertised as a season finale.
Yes.
So not series finale. And then Nicholas Stormy points out about Inhumans, but they were calling Inhumans complete series before they even
Yeah.
finished airing.
After
So-
they aired like the first one, they did start focusing. I think actually even before they aired it at all, like
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
went
The
from being called the
IMAX.
first season. I went to that
Yeah.
IMAX screening.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoyed it. I was the only one in the audience, I think, that did. But so they referred to it as the complete series. Like, they treated it more as like an 8-part event as opposed to an 8-episode season one.
Yeah.
And given all the money that they have, like, come on. Like, why not make another one?
I think because they might want to focus that money somewhere else.
When you've got a whole universe you're working with, why leave
Well,
something undone?
I mean, you kind of want to, keep people on the hook between now and Avengers 4, or at least, I know we have Ant-Man coming up, but Captain Marvel is not until March. So, it's good to kind of keep people interested in the universe. You'll have a lot of product to sell before then. You got merch.
Yeah.
You got.
So much Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. merch.
I never see it, but I would buy some. But I'm just talking about you keep people interested in the Marvel Universe, and there's so much Marvel Universe merch. But if they want to sell a Phil Coulson like shield that comes out of your hand, I'm right
A
there.
flashlight.
Which
type of thing.
which is a great transition into this week's penultimate. That's right, episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And as always, we talk about spoilers on this show.
You're
So
adorable.
let's dive right in. Amy, because you sound so excited, I wanted to start with you. What did you think of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. this week?
It was. I liked it more than I had been liking the previous episodes.
Yeah.
Yes, probably only because of that beautiful moment between
The Phil Linda moment.
Phil. That's what we're going with.
That's what somebody in the chat called it, and we weren't able to come up with a good one in that
Wow.
same episode, so
okay.
we'll just stick with it. Yeah.
All right, thank you guys for contributing. Yeah, aw, it was sweet.
Finally, it's one of those. Damn, it's been a while.
Yeah, but then he was so cool about it. He's like, I got my shield.
I mean, Coulson's a pretty cool guy. I have to say, I'm not I don't ship much, and it was not something that I thought I wanted. But then in that moment, I'm like, you know what? Good for them. They've both been through a lot.
Were you
know?
like Daisy? You're like, all right.
Yeah, Daisy was funny actually, and
She was
that,
very
that
funny.
That was one
Hot
of those.
lips.
Yeah, exactly. I know. Calling Coulson hot lips, and he was very funny where he was just like, not a world. That's an order. So obviously there's other things in the episode to talk about, but I feel like we should start there. Michael, what did you
That
think?
was my favorite moment as well. I really
Now, did
liked
anybody
it.
rewind it and watch it again?
No.
No.
It was just one of those
Pervy.
It's
No,
you did.
No, but I'll use it completely different. But on the TV show The Office, when Jim and Pam first
Yes.
kissed, my wife kept rewinding it because she wanted to keep watching it. I'm like, can we go to the next scene
Oh,
now?
that's
She's
so
like, I need to see it one more time.
It was a long kiss.
Yeah,
And
that
it's
one
such
you mean?
a great
Yeah.
setup.
This one, yeah.
This one,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
setup, like pulling her in
Yeah.
close. It was like great romantic. But it's also a
it's all the
payoff that
timing,
we've been
yes.
waiting for forever.
But I didn't know I was waiting for it. Until,
Really?
Not
Oh.
this week, but like in the season, I'm like, I guess.
oh
That's
no, that
interesting.
tension's been going on for a while. That you're like,
But
they
she was
better-
married.
Okay, well then
To a
after
monster.
that point.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
Like literally.
That happens.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Nicholas Stormy in the chat asks Christian, so who do you ship?
It's a great question. I guess my quick answer, so we can move on, is always Kitty Pryde and Colossus. That's always my go-to.
There you go.
But on this show, if you think of the couples we've had on this show, Fitz and Simmons, absolutely from the
forever.
pilot
They're
I
great.
wanted. But some of the other relationships we had, like May and Ward, Sky and Ward,
Yeah.
anyone in Ward.
Ward.
You know,
I didn't mind Sky and Ward.
well, I didn't.
I liked it, and then I
didn't like it.
stopped liking it. When
Right.
it was
Well.
getting
Well, he
annoying.
was a bad guy. Yeah. That's true. Yeah. That's a good point. But May and Ward never made any sense. So there haven't been that many relationships. I do like Mac and Yo-Yo.
Mac and Yo-Yo's
Mac
cute.
and Yo-Yo, I think, from kind of the beginning.
No.
You didn't like Mac and Yo-Yo?
I don't trust Mac. You know me.
Mac
What?
has
Because he
a-
wanted to stay in the framework? But what about before that happened? Did you trust him before that season?
Yeah.
Okay.
That just broke my trust.
I don't
Sure.
like his attitude lately. I'm like,
Mac?
Get
They
over
did
it.
lock him up.
Okay, it happens. Move on.
All right.
He just needs.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
let's ask people in the chat whether you're watching live or watching the archive. Do you think that Mac's within his rights to still be a little touchy? It's only been like I don't know, like a day or two.
They need to move
He's
on.
being better about it though, because he's not quite as like, I won't even talk to you.
Well, you can talk to Yo-Yo now.
Yeah,
That's true. Yeah.
he's
Good for him.
expressing like,
Yeah.
okay, this is a thing. I agree that this has been a really great, even episode of Shield in terms of like consistent tone and exciting and action, and then that kiss definitely sold the scene. But then there's the humor, because Daisy like making jokes about it, but then that's what you love about this show is the humor in it. It's so great.
And it's what we were talking about last week, how the team really is like a family. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, when Daisy finally does getting around to talking about it,
Mm-hmm.
and she says, so, you made out with May, and Coulson's just like, people see what they want to, I guess. You know, and he just like tries to brush it off. I thought that was funny.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a good Deke episode because he's like, I know 0. He's like, I only know 5 numbers. Well, I guess I know 0 too. So I know 6 numbers, and it's a good thing that he knew 0, as it turned out. So I thought that I think that character's getting built up really well. I just don't see it happening for him and Daisy. I'm sorry.
Well, he's more useful.
No matter how many
finally.
lemons he gives her. Sorry,
He's
what I'm
getting
saying,
more
Karen?
useful instead of being just like dumb in some of
Yeah.
the stuff he does, because he's not stupid, but just some of the things he does makes him like, ugh, okay, whatever. And we can only get the Iwan from a different time and place gag for so long. So this he felt useful without like being totally in his element. So it was nice to, like you said, see him grow. It's like, oh, good, you're improving.
I really liked when he like saved Coulson and May all that work of breaking out
Yes,
of.
that was great.
Yeah, that's true. They were getting ready, and he was just like, "Hey guys, were you gonna say something, Amy?"
Yes. Well, I saw it somewhere on Twitter that this mom today. Happy Mother's Day, everyone. She woke up 2 lemons near her
Oh,
bed.
did you retweet that? Because I saw that.
I saw it,
I
right?
think Chloe Bennett retweeted it
Was
because
it?
that's how I
Okay.
saw it. Yeah. And
that's
yeah,
beautiful.
and I guess a mother who watches the show with her
Yeah.
daughter, and the daughter left lemons
Mm-hmm.
for the mom to find in the morning. So very
That's
sweet.
cute.
That's right. If only somebody would leave me lemons. Hint, hint. No. It's fine. I don't need lemon scent here. So also in the episode, we get to really see there's a lot of Talbot in this episode, and that's going to factor into our theme for our episode this week of Megalomaniacs. But the moment where his son just tells him that he's not a hero, that's rough. My kid tells me a lot of things. He says he'll yell at me, "Daddy, I don't like you. Daddy, go away." A lot of those things. But I like to think he thinks in some way that I'm probably because I have so many Spider-Man shirts. I think he thinks that I'm a hero. But and I think that obviously if Talbot's wife had said that, he would have like folded her up into an accordion or something. But his kid, he's like, I'm so mad, but I can't quite do it. So that's the shred that he still has. But I don't know. What do you think about this sort of evolution of Talbot, Michael?
Oh gosh, I'm so annoyed. I mean, I like that actor, and I think he's fun, and I thought he was fun as like their general, or whatever. But after he got out of that machine, I just haven't really cared for him. He's taken it a little too far.
It's not a great costume, also.
And back to turning people into like an accordion.
Yeah.
It was really funny because I noticed that the same week he did that on Legion, someone was folded up into an accordion just like that.
Yes, it's true. It does happen on both shows.
Yeah.
What do you think of General Talbot, Amy?
I'm annoyed with
Okay.
him. Yes, but I guess I'm in the minority. I do like his little
You like his
costume.
ensemble?
I do, and I love his hair. It's very nicely done.
The beard.
His
The goatee
it's
that's
very,
so groomed.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very well groomed
It
because he was very unkempt earlier this season.
Exactly. He just like his face and the way it's nicely groomed reminds me of Doctor Strange, and I think
All
that's
right,
what I like.
I can see that, sure. You know, and he also has a nice cloak. What do you think, Kari?
I'm okay with the costume, but he looks bulky. That I was like, he didn't seem like, but not in really good way. Like he looks awkward in the costume
Like
a little
he,
bit.
like he went to the all-you-can-eat Gravitonium buffet. He went back for like one plate too many.
Yeah, just a little bit, because he seems very awkward, stiff. I am manly, giant torso man, and you're like, like it's not. Yeah, it just looks awkward, or he seems awkward in the costume. I can't quite tell what it is.
I think he looks tough.
I mean, he looks a lot tougher than he used to.
I know he's definitely doing like a posture of like I am imposing and such, which I agree. I think he's a great actor, and I've enjoyed like his progression. But this phase is like, this can't last too much longer.
I enjoyed it when he was funny.
Yeah, I liked when he was funny, and we're not getting that.
And ABK88 says they have a hairstylist on the spaceship. I agree. Yeah, his
course they do.
magical transformation, which actually, real quick, of transformations and transforming your lives. Do you want to have fun, learn, and grow in all areas of your life? For those of you who do, we have a podcast for you. Conversations with Maria Menounos Podcast Edition is hosted by our AfterBuzz TV founder and drops every Friday on iTunes. Conversations with Maria Menounos features celebrity and influencer interviews along with secrets and tips on how to be better in all aspects of life. From health and wellness to career, relationships, finances, and more, let our Maria be the big sister you've always wanted. Just go to iTunes and subscribe with Conversations with Maria Menounos for free. Be sure to rate and comment, and when you do, let Maria know it was us that sent you there. Marvel TV News, woohoo!
Marvel TV Weekly.
Weekly. I'm like,
Yeah, that's the name
I'm
of
used
our
to the
show.
horror movie
No,
news,
I know.
so yeah, Marvel
Well,
TV Weekly.
When we first met for this show, we thought it was going to be called that, actually.
there
so,
we are.
There you go.
So yes, Conversations with Maria Menounos Podcast Edition. Check it out.
Thank you. And I'm going to drink some water. But
Yes.
before I do...
Do you have enough cups?
No, actually, I don't, apparently.
What? No.
So, we've got one episode left. And I've already touched on that I think some people are going to die. I think Coulson's going to pull through, but that May's going to die.
What? No,
Because
stop.
they're going to do something tragic, and I think because he's already on death's door, I think they're going to figure out a way to save him. And I think people are going to be upset that somebody dies, and that seems to make sense. Maybe Yo-Yo too. Anyway,
Someone was suggesting Yo-Yo because that would be kind of an indication that the future
they've
has
broken
changed.
the loop. What if Yo-Yo, Fitz, and Simmons all die?
Whoa!
And then
Stop that.
and then Deke disappears like the brother and sister in Back to the Future.
Wow.
I don't like what you
That'd be
just
hard.
said.
Well, I'm just putting it all out
Yeah.
there. Look,
I think Deke's gonna disappear.
I think
that's
Deke should
fine.
disappear.
That's
What?
fine.
I like Deke.
No,
No, that's fine.
But it's
Can he
not
kiss
like
Daisy
he
for-
dies.
Sure.
You know, like if he disappears, it's not like he dies.
Hey, that really ties into Infinity
Yeah.
War.
Yeah, true.
But it depends on exactly of how important is it to have how many people die, because is how impactful is this going to be, or are we going to have it kind of tie into more Infinity War of like we're going to have people disappear?
I would hope that any of the deaths of people on the show don't happen in that Infinity War way.
Okay, yeah.
But I think it's entirely possible. And then it would be completely random, and I might be right, and like everybody disappears. And then we just don't know.
We should get one big death for sure, just because
I think we will.
After all they've been through, it's like really nobody's died.
Yeah.
They said that, they have enough serum to either stop
That's
the
true,
general
yeah.
or save Coulson.
That's
Yeah.
true.
I think they're gonna stop the general. Coulson's gonna die. I don't know what you're talking about. May disappearing. She's the cavalry. Like no one can take her out. Like no way.
She doesn't have any superpowers.
She is just
She's
tough as
that
nails.
good that she's still
I mean,
around.
she's
don't
good,
need no
but it's
superpowers.
like she's like Hawkeye. All right, you can take out Hawkeye. He just got some bows and
Can you?
arrows. Well, if he doesn't show up in the movie,
He's a
sure,
sniper.
I guess. Anyway, so that's what I'm thinking. Amy, Michael, did you give your predictions, or did I jump over you?
Well,
I thought you did.
I think that Deke's gonna disappear,
Yeah.
and that's how they're gonna know things are okay. And I think that Coulson's gonna die.
Okay. Anybody else? You gonna kill everybody?
I hope.
What about Trip? Is Trip gonna die?
I hope that Daisy lead the team.
I thought you were gonna say, I hope that Daisy dies.
No, I don't think she's like at this moment a good leader.
No.
But I think if Coulson died, that might snap her into like, what would Coulson do?
Yeah.
Kind of train of thinking.
WWCD.
Fair enough. Yeah.
But just because of her history with S.H.I.E.L.D., I would love to see her leading.
Right. What do you think, Amy?
I think Coulson's gonna die because we just got that happy, beautiful moment with him and May,
Yeah.
and they're just gonna
That's
stab
why
us in the
my
heart.
first thought was that he was going to die, and he's already been stabbed in the heart. You know,
Yeah.
so
Again.
like, yeah, exactly. Like, how
No
many times can it
no
happen to
TV.
him?
Yeah.
So I feel like that moment meant that one of them was going to die, and I was thinking Coulson. I'm like, you know what? They're going to probably mix it up on us, and it'll be May, and so we'll see.
But
What
then
about
again, would
both?
it be satisfying or less shocking if it is someone we expect to die, or is it better if it's someone where we're all like,
That's why I think it won't be
Yeah.
Coulson, because we're
Yeah.
all we've come to terms with the fact that he's going to die, and he's
Yeah.
also died before.
Yeah.
We've dealt with it. We've
That could
grieved
be
for him.
another reason why they let him go, because
Yeah.
people have already, imagined
Yeah.
a world without him.
I also hope that Ghost Rider shows up.
you
and
know
saves
what?
his life.
Star
He's
Drew
supposed
in
to?
the chat actually just said that. Said, do we see Ghost Rider again?
I hope so.
Yes.
Now we'll find out next week. Let's talk for a moment or two about Legion. Amy and I have already talked about it this week because I sat in on the Legion after show, and Amy did an excellent job. So if you want to see us really dive into it, and there were a lot of Davids to talk about.
Oh, it was so much fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. But I'll start with Michael. What were your thoughts on this episode of Legion?
I think it might have been the best one we've gotten.
Ever?
Like of all like 14, 15
Yeah,
episodes?
maybe. I mean, it really brought in the multiple personalities. I mean, and although it wasn't like he was completely different people, as I know you, Christian, would have liked to seen with different powers.
With Jack Wayne, the telekinetic, Cindy, the pyrotechnic, and the real David, who like warps time and reality and all that. Yes.
There's just so many, hundreds and hundreds of personalities. I think that might turn it into a different show.
Yeah.
But I think this also could be a way of showing that if he had maybe a psychic break, things might splinter, and to cope, maybe he could go into more personalities, being everything that's going on with his sister, and I don't know, he kind of seems like he could be at like a breaking point where things might get real bad.
Yeah, I think that's what this episode was, to kind of like, let's take a step back and let's look at it. You know, we've had a couple of those episodes in recent weeks where we got to see, all about Sid's story, and I think we're getting that background because these last few episodes are really we're going to see sort of why those are so important and what happens. They talked about like, David's fragmented personalities. If one of them dies, you saw the other ones kind of feel it. And our David, that's like when our David tried to kill himself, so there's some interesting ways in which they all touched on each other. So I think we'll see that he's obviously very angry right now, and he's coming for the Shadow King. And I don't know if he's quite equipped to take out the Shadow King. I mean, he's incredibly powerful, but he's not as focused as, say, his father, Professor Xavier,
That's
is.
what I'm thinking. I'm thinking he might be intending to do that, but what he does might splinter him into like what we know of him in the comics.
I think that it'll be interesting, and I think we'll see that in the next couple weeks. Amy, your thoughts on this episode?
I realize that I tend to like episodes of Legion when they're a little bit more focused, if that makes sense, which is weird because it was not focused. There were so many Davids.
It's kind of like a one-shot comic book
Yes.
that's like a totally different story. Yeah.
Yes, and we really we got to see Dan Stevens in so many different personalities that we were able to see just how talented he was if we didn't know already. And it was
Downton Abbey.
Oh, yeah. It was fun because it was fun to watch and you were trying to put all these puzzle pieces together. So, yeah, I would have to agree with you, Michael, that it's my favorite episode. that
Yeah, I
we've
mean, it was
done for
fun,
sure.
especially as you watch, like, in the first act, a couple acts of the show, you weren't quite sure how, which parts of which stories, and, that one's actually our David, which I didn't realize for a while. And then the notion that intern David becomes, like, billionaire David, which certainly wasn't apparent the first couple times we cycled through the different personalities. So I think that this is a perfect episode of, look, it's not going to necessarily make sense if it's the first one you watch, but I'm like, if you want to know what the show's about, this is a great one to kind of see. It's just so many different things, and it was cool to see Kari not Kari, but Kari show up and take out one of the Davids. I thought that was actually kind
Took
of
me
cool.
out of it a little bit.
Oh, well. Okay, go ahead.
A couple
What's in the
theories
chat?
and comments from the chat. Xavier Clark says Legion equals hive mind. As a
Interesting.
thought. And all the different minds he has in him or powers, kind of somewhat. Then also that the assumption was that David was testing out Farouk's theory about being all-powerful and able to create and shape reality by utilizing his power to see what he could really do. So, you know.
Yeah. Well, thanks for everybody in the chat. You get so many great theories out of the chat, and sometimes I'll think of things a lot differently when I watch the next episode because of what we got from the chat. So thanks to everybody. And if you're not watching live, you have probably noticed that I have no problem commenting on the YouTube comments in the middle of the night, unless people leave like really weird, creepy stuff. Then I leave it alone. But anyway, we'll just leave it at that. Kari, what were your thoughts about this episode of Legion? That we're talking about right now. It sounds pretty cool, right?
No, I'm loving. I'm with Amy though, or agree and disagree. I like it when it is a little more bizarre and less like regular, and just having the different versions is so much more interesting to explore that because we already know that's going on. So it's nice to really be able to dive into it. And yeah, I love him as an actor. I've been watching a lot of Downton Abbey too, so I'm like, oh, that's
and he's
guy.
the Beast in Beauty and the Beast. Hello.
Well, you barely see him.
I would
but
say the Legion performance is by
Yeah.
far better than the Down.
Oh, no. It's just, it's more the difference between the two because I, for a while when Legion started, didn't even realize it was the same guy on Downton Abbey. I'm like, wow.
Looks
oh
very
my gosh.
different.
It's totally transformation of, it's not even a huge, like, physical difference, but just posture and just changing up his hair. He lost weight.
Lost a lot of weight.
Yeah, he's so thin on Legion in comparison. But yeah, I think he's a great actor for sure.
Yeah, so anyway, let us know what you think. And we've got a few more episodes. I think we talked about this last week that we're getting an 11th episode in this season of Legion. So he'll be sticking around for a few more weeks, even if we only have one more Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But we'll keep talking about that show. But what we're going to do is spend a few minutes here on sort of our overall theme, which is the Megalomaniacs. And it's always so hard for me to say. Megalomaniacs. Every time I say it, I'm like, no, I know I said it wrong.
It's a hard word to say.
For me, just for me.
No, you're not the only one.
So megalomania is defined as a delusional mental illness that is marked by feelings of personal omnipotence and grandeur. So I want to, since we're talking about Legion, I feel like the Shadow King, Amal Farouk, is a perfect example of that. I think that everything he does is really just, unfortunately, he has the power to back it up. He, in a lot of ways, is omnipotent. It's like, especially if he gets, the little, like, rat thing in your ear or whatever. He's able to take charge. So I think he's a perfect example of that level of power. And to backtrack to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., if you'd asked me a month ago, I wouldn't have said Glenn Talbot. I was like, what, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
But he's definitely a megalomaniac now that he's got all that gravitonium. And he's like, look what I can do. And he's like, I can finally shut up my wife and put her up against the wall. Apparently that's what he had in him. So, just sort of some weird reactions of what he's doing, with all this stuff. But I thought it would be fun for us to each mention a couple of megalomaniacs in the grand scheme of the Marvel Universe. That includes TV, movies, comics. Just specify if there's a specific one that you're focusing on. Amy, we'll let you go first.
Yay! I am solely focusing on the MCU. So the first megalomaniac.
So much better than the way I say it. Thank you.
Say it really slow. That I wanted to talk about is Loki. And if you're watching us right now, you can look at your screen. That is Loki. Yes.
So
spoiler.
menacing.
Spoiler. I feel like he's actually looking at us because it's a black background and it just kind of fades in. It's kind of terrifying.
I do love the hat with the
hat.
With the spikes
helmet.
on it. It's
the
a hat, really.
It's a hat.
Yeah.
You can find it anywhere.
I wish.
Yeah. Spoiler alert if you have not seen Infinity War. So he dies. But,
We think.
yeah.
Most likely.
Most
Well, he definitely dies in the
likely.
movie. Does he
Yeah.
stay dead?
Yes.
That's the
True.
question,
Does he
yeah.
say that?
But prior to his death, he was most definitely a megalomaniac. He just wants power. He wants everything. And there's very little sympathy and empathy that he has with everyone around him. And we've been able to see that in Avengers, all the Thor movies, and now, well, yeah, all the Avenger movies as well.
And the interesting thing is, because even when you think like, oh, you know what, he's kind of turned a new leaf. Look at him, he's helping out his brother. He's quick to sell him out to Jeff Goldblum. I'm sorry, I don't remember the character's name. In Ragnarok, like instantly.
The Grandmaster.
The Grandmaster. Look at you. If I wish I had my bell, I would ding it. And yeah, so he's immediately like, oh no, I barely know him. And of course, he still steals the Tesseract, even though like Asgard is destroying all around him. He's like, hang on, let me take a minute. This is important. Obviously, it was important. But anyway, just imagine if he didn't take it, then Thanos would never have been able to put together the Infinity Gauntlet.
This really sucks now.
Yeah, just imagine. Thanks, Loki.
So it's all his fault, is what you're saying.
Way to be a megalomaniac.
Yeah.
And anyway, so speaking of which, who is your other megalomaniac, Amy?
You guys might have heard of him. I think Thanos. Yeah, he's a pretty big,
over there.
important guy. And Christian even has a shirt with his face on
It's
it.
Oh my!
It's the cover of Infinity Gauntlet #1. It's just a close-up of
Nice.
Great
The
one.
one number.
Good shot.
Yeah.
So obviously this really goes with Infinity War, this last movie. Obviously it's still in theaters. Go check it out now.
Yeah, because
Not
it needs to make
sponsored.
more money. Please go get it. Yeah,
Please.
Go check it
Yeah.
out. Help them get to $2 billion.
Exactly.
That's what we talked about in box office.
Yeah. He wants everything. He wants power. He wants all of the stones, obviously, to be put on his gauntlet. And yeah, he has. I mean, I would say that he wants what's best for people, but that's so twisted that he thinks that wiping like half of the population away would solve a lot of issues. But there's no empathy.
No, there's no empathy. I mean, when you look at it clinically, it's like, yes, now people aren't hungry because there's half as many people, which is what he says to Gamora. It's like, yeah, nobody on your planet went hungry again after I did. So you're welcome. But the key to the definition is a delusional mental illness. So he really thinks like, I have this capacity to do this. And as we've said, he will look at the sunrise on a grateful universe, and he's still waiting for all the thank you cards for people that he did that. So
well, they're all dead.
Yeah, and I think that Thanos is the perfect example. Not that Loki wasn't, but it's just like this guy checks off all the boxes. Kari, who are your thoughts for megalomaniacs?
Not quite as aggressively evil, but because generally I would think these people would fall into an evil category because what they do is generally mass destruction, which pretty much sounds like all the people. I was thinking of Magneto, but he's almost a villain that you respect his concept of what he's going for. Of like, of course you want to save all the mutants, but oh wait, they're superior and all the humans must die.
Yeah, it's like and we've talked about this, and it's sort of the point with Killmonger and Black Panther. It's like when people, it's like, oh, where you're starting from, it's a good place. And then you go like these couple steps down the road, and that's like a little too far. And then you go like, and when Magneto has wanted to wipe out Homo sapiens and replace them with Homo superior, you're like, oh, dude, that's too much.
Well,
that's
he's
not
turning into what he hates. Like, the character was
Yeah.
supposed to be like in a concentration camp,
Exactly.
so he's actually turning into like a Hitler.
Right, and he's such a great, well-rounded character, and it's like, he's had so, I don't know
He
why he laughed.
starts off well of like, and he's not like every single human must die, but kind of touch upon like the word empathy. He will get to that point where humans are definitely lower on his chain of who, if you're in his way, he will not hesitate to kill, but maybe if he's a mutant, he might consider a superior being. So he'd be like, eh. But it's one of those that, you kind of go, oh, I get what you're going at, but not quite.
And,
Which makes him a more interesting villain.
Yeah,
kind of.
Exactly. I mean, and sort of like we're saying with Thanos, he's just convinced that what he's doing is right.
His is just like...
But his is
too
like...
far.
He's from a different world.
He's from a very different world. It's like, he's like the cult leader.
Do you think
like,
he needs a therapist, Thanos?
Yes. Thanos? Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
He should definitely see someone.
Yeah.
But since we're talking about Magneto, just snap, don't even think about your answer for more than a second. Fassbender or Ian McKellen?
Oh,
I know I want to put you on the spot because I thought it was mean.
Serious?
That's easy.
I mean,
Well, it's easy for me, but I would say Fassbender. Yeah. Because it's the more interesting Magneto to me because he hasn't gotten to the place where Ian McKellen is.
No, that's a good argument.
Yeah.
But it's just definitely very different places.
Yeah.
So
All
it's
right.
like-
So you can't pick a favorite.
But I mean, like, if we're talking for Xavier, though, I'm like Patrick Stewart are the way. But
Oh, well, I didn't ask that
I
question.
know,
That was an obvious question.
no,
yeah.
with Magneto, I'm like, well,
And
but
I
see,
really
both
like-
of those I like. That I'm like, well, they're just different points in his life. That it's fine.
I really like James McAvoy as an actor. I think he's an okay.
Yeah,
he's a
it's
fine
fine.
Xavier, but it's
Yeah.
like there's no comparison. Who is your other choice?
Well, actually, I'm looking at some interesting suggestions from the
sure.
chat too.
Well, please bring our friends into the conversation.
Ivan Soto says Victor Stein from Runaways, which I'm like,
Yeah,
actually,
that's-
that is definitely a character that starts off maybe okay, but his vision is a little bit much.
Yes.
Where was it? Xavier Jones says Dr. Doom, Harry Osborn.
Yeah.
I think those are some good suggestions.
Harry Osborn, I would say sure, but more Norman Osborn than Harry Osborn, the
Yeah.
OG Green Goblin. But I mean,
yeah.
Harry Osborn has the anger of the death of his father, so they're both.
Yeah.
There's no wrong answers here. These are all
These
crazy
are all
people.
just great, crazy ones.
Yeah.
Xavier has a few things, but Mr. Sinister.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that he's definitely a megalomaniac.
Yes.
But what was your other choice?
Now I'm blanking on my thoughts too. Come back to me.
We'll come back to you. Michael, who do you have?
My first one would be Mojo.
Oh, I love Mojo.
He is like
Oh.
the definition of a megalomaniac, and I feel like he fits really well with us because
Ew.
his. Yeah, that's a great
Nice.
picture of him.
Yeah.
He's a real looker. But he's like an alien species, and his big claim to fame is he runs basically a area of the multiverse called Mojo World, in which he uses television as his way to control everyone.
Yes.
So like ratings just like factor into what teams he wants to go after, who he wants, and he can bend time, and he has magical powers. So say everyone gets really into Wolverine. Well, oh, Wolverine's gonna bring me ratings, so he's gonna morph Wolverine there and just do all kinds of crazy stuff with them. And he's just kind of funny, kind of just nuts, wild to look at. Just
That is
And-
quite a face.
doesn't care about anybody but ratings.
And comic book wise, he's first introduced in Long Shot's miniseries, and I think they realize what a great character this is, so they bring him over to deal with the X-Men, and Long Shot ends up joining the team as well. There are a couple episodes of the animated series that Mojo is in, but I think that's currently not streaming, so I would tell you to go find it, but you can't. But don't worry, the Disney service will have it. So, but I will give one reading recommendation. X-Men, Uncanny X-Men Annual number 10 is the introduction of the X-Babies. So he takes the
yeah,
X-Men
yeah.
and he turns them into babies. Think of the Muppet Babies. And because he
I'm
knew that
so
was going to be
excited
better
for that.
it would be better for ratings.
That sounds
so find that. You can find that digitally. You want to find it in a comic book store? It's probably not that. It's probably going to cost you like $10 or something. What were you going to say, Karen?
I thought of my person.
All
But it's,
right.
kind of a curveball out of left field. There's two things there. A hero, we'll go with Punisher in the Spider-Man cartoon.
Sure.
Because in that, he is solely doesn't care about like understanding who his target is, of just like they're the bad person going after it, and Spider-Man's constantly like, dude, you need to like understand this person, they're not as evil as you think, or we need to analyze this, and he's just like, nope, I'm just gonna kill him.
There's a point in the comics where he has a psychotic break more than what you think he has. And, he's like trying to take out like, jaywalkers and litterers. I might be exaggerating, but, he's just like, oh, you were breaking a law. You need to be punished. So, yeah, I think he obviously, he comes from a very different place than a lot of these other people. There's really the trauma in his life.
Yeah.
Whichever incarnation of the Punisher you're talking about,
For sure.
whether it's comic book, whether it's Netflix, whether it's Thomas Jane, they all come from the same place, the trauma of, just having his family killed. So I think he definitely fits the bill. And there are heroes that definitely fit the bill. I mean, you could certainly make points that a lot of heroes have behaved in this way at various times. Michael, who's your other choice?
My other is Madeline Pryor,
Yay.
aka the Goblin
Queen,
aka the Red Queen. Really, really kind of a sad story. She was created just to be kind of like Scott's new girlfriend after Jean died, and then too many people put their hands in the pie, and she evolved over the years to being... You find out she's a clone of Jean that was created by Mr. Sinister to kind of like spy on the X-Men, and then she realizes that she's like not really a person, loses it, and just goes straight into megalomania mode, and and just does everything she can to ruin Scott's life, ruin his relationships, get back a new body, preferably Jean's, just very much all about becoming a real person, and doesn't care about what she has to do.
In terms of things that are going on currently, she's Cable's mommy.
Because
Cable,
mom.
little baby Nathan Charles Christopher Summers, gets sent off into the future to become Cable because of some virus he has. It's very convoluted. But anyway, she's Cable's mom. So that will tie in.
Happy Mother's Day.
Yeah, thank you. Perfect.
There you go.
Yeah, happy Mother's Day, Maddie.
And then when Madeline Pryor dies many times, but
so does Jean Grey. So,
I know,
that's
it makes
happens.
perfect sense.
Yeah.
So after she goes, Jean becomes like the de facto mom for Cable.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. And poor Rachel Summers. Anyway, if you want to read a great Madeline Pryor comic book story, there are a lot of crossovers that they started doing in the 80s and into the 90s. One of my favorites is probably Inferno, and that's when she's the Goblin Queen. It's a great instance of taking a character that, first of all, was considered good, but second of all, kind of a minor character, and she just has all these, like, sort of devious machinations, some megalomaniacal things.
And she talks another X-Men, Havoc, into being her side
That's
piece.
right. Yeah, her side piece. And by the way, Havoc's brother is...
Oh, Scott.
Yeah, Cyclops.
Yeah.
So that just adds an extra level to it. My Megalomaniacs, these are both come from the comics, although my second one, I will refer to the movie version. Well, let's start with, we're going to start with, I guess, the more obvious one, Galactus, because he eats planets. I mean, he gets hungry, he eats a planet. And there's no sense, there's definitely no remorse. He's just like, well, I'm hungry.
So if he eats an empty planet, is that like no seasoning and a planet full of people? It just tastes better.
It's way
No
more
calories.
delicious. Yeah.
So crazy.
It's like celery planets.
There have been a number of characters, most notably the Silver Surfer was like originally his herald who sort of flies through the galaxy to find planets for him. And one of the characters called Nova in sort of like the 80s and 90s was his herald, and she would try to find planets. We're like, well, population died off like 1,000 years ago. I'm going to have... So she would like try and have him eat moons and things. It's like basically have him be a vegan. Like, just eat this dead moon. It's not going to hurt anything.
Yeah.
But again, the greatest tragedy that the Fantastic Four are not a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe includes the fact that we don't have a great Galactus. And I hope that one day we'll get it. If not, maybe an animated series where we get to see him. And then my other choice is the light, the fun, but definitely a megalomaniac, Jonah Jameson, because he definitely thinks he's omnipotent because he's the voice of the truth, justice, and the Daily Bugle. And boy, does he hate Spider-Man. And he is so perfectly represented in the films by J.K. Simmons that we have still not seen J. Jonah Jameson since Spider-Man 3, the third and final Tobey Maguire. There's an email that Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man gets from him very quickly, but we don't actually see him in any movie. So...
real quick.
Yeah.
If you guys ever watched the XD, the animated XD Spider-Man.
The one that's I forget what it's called, the current one.
But it's not actually the current one because I'm not sure if they have him in that. In the previous iteration with Drake Bell voicing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It was still J.K. Simmons doing the voice.
I love that.
Yeah, for the actual J. Jonas in that Spider-Man show. Because his voice is pretty prominent in like the early episodes.
See, now that's great to know because that's I feel like I'm gonna watch all of these animated things on the Disney platform with my kid. So
they're really fun. Yeah, a lot of cameos.
So is that 2 thumbs up from the one and only Tony B. Tony?
2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs
if I
up.
had 3. it'd be up too.
Whoa.
Yeah, that is a little creepy. Anyway, let us know who your Megalomaniacs are in the Marvel Universe. We covered the TV, we covered the movie, and we covered the comics. There's plenty of them. It's a topic that we can revisit regularly, and also I feel like it'll just come up week to week when new characters are introduced. Sort of the final thing we're going to talk about as we wind down here, and if Anthony can find it and play it under without the music, we did get the trailer for Luke Cage Season 2, and I believe that is June 22nd. So that's not that far off. Mm-hmm. So in terms of this show, I'm always worried that we're only, it looked like we were going to only have Cloak and Dagger. That Legion was going to end, and then we were just going to have Cloak and Dagger into the summer. And yes, I know that it's a Netflix show and it drops all at once, but at least we'll be able to talk about Luke Cage a little bit this summer. So I'm excited, and when we get a little bit closer to it, we will talk about we'll do a little character corner, which I know we haven't done in a while, of Bushmaster, and we'll get to talk a little bit about him. But I don't know. You decide, Tony, as to whether or not we're supposed to play the audio from this. I don't know how that works. That's
I mean, as long as you talk over
Oh,
it.
okay. We won't stop talking. Anyway, I don't know. I think it looks cool. I'm excited. I enjoyed season 1 of Luke Cage, and I think it's about time. And he's not in the trailer, but I know that my buddy Danny Rand, the Iron Fist, is in this season, and I love the way the two of them interact together. Michael, are you excited for Luke Cage Season 2?
Yeah, I wanted to see more Misty Knight in the trailer.
Yeah.
We really didn't get a great look at her arms, but...
I was about to say with that robotic arm.
Yeah,
super
I
excited
think
to
that
see
they wanted to just sort of tease you with it and be like, look, she's got it.
For sure.
Because obviously after Defenders, you were like, well, we know what's coming next. Or maybe you didn't know, but most of us knew. Amy, your thoughts on some more Luke Cage in our life?
I am so freaking pumped. Yeah, I'm really excited. I actually went to the Netflix FYC event last week, and I spoke with a few people that are going to be in Luke Cage, and I spoke to the creator, Chio Hodari Coker. Did I say that right?
Good for, you know what?
Yes.
Maybe.
I'm pretty sure.
I'm
Yes.
pretty sure you did, though, actually, yes.
And, I mean, it was just so cool to get to talk to them, and they're really excited for us to see it. So they said it's bigger, it's better, it's blah. So,
Well,
yeah.
I have a friend who works on that show, and I know that she got to write an episode this year, so I'm very excited for her, and that'll be great to see.
I would love to have Jessica Jones in this season.
Oh my gosh.
But
yeah.
what about Claire? Come on, he can't
We
be
can
two-timing.
have both, the first half of
Step
the
aside,
season
Claire.
and then the second
Step
half.
Really?
aside.
Look at you creating.
Give Hellcat those claws and leave Jessica's man alone.
What do you think, Kari, about another season of Luke Cage? Anything in the trailer jump out at you? Or?
I'm definitely excited to see more of this character because my only problem with the season 1 is similar to Jessica Jones is it just takes too long for our hero to be a hero to do stuff. So I'm glad that he's finally in it, and because that's what we want to see. It's like we want to see you doing cool superhero things. I don't like I'm just gonna drag my feet forever and I don't want to be involved. It's not what I'm there for. So I'm excited to move on to season 2 and really develop this character. And more Misty, that'd be great. And because a lot of the side characters are super interesting on Luke Cage, so hopefully we see more of them as well.
Yeah, I think we're at an interesting point in these Netflix series because the season 2 is when you really get to see who they are. We really got to get a lot out of Jessica.
Mm-hmm.
We got a lot of Patsy. So I think it'll be interesting to see what we get out of. And I mean, honestly, season 2 of Daredevil, I think, really pushed this story forward. There wasn't too much Patsy in season 2 of Daredevil, but Daredevil season 3 is actually coming fairly soon.
Yeah,
I don't know if
excited
it's
for that
next,
one.
but we'll see. I don't know. Matt needs a lot of time to recover. Yes, Tony.
Personally, I hope they make the season as long as it needs to be, and hopefully they don't drag it out. Because personally, I start falling off around these shows around the 7th or 8th episode.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say season. Yeah.
No, 7th or 8th episode, and that's when it really just starts dragging on and starts feeling more like a chore to watch these shows. Like I felt the same thing with Jessica Jones, and that was not the first one, the second season. It's been my favorite Marvel Netflix show, and even that dragged on for me. So I'm just
too much push and pull back and forth.
Yeah.
Right. I know what you're saying, and I mean, as much as I liked the first half of Luke Cage, once Cottonmouth was gone, it kind of lost a lot of steam for me.
It's like they're dragging their legs.
Just because Cottonmouth was so good, I was just like, you better replace him with something better, and I don't think that they did.
He was a scene stealer.
Yeah,
fair enough. Yeah,
and that's why my scandalous comments that when I was making the rounds and saying that I liked Iron Fist better than Luke Cage was because it worked all the way through as a whole season. But that's just me. That's all right. We're not here to agree.
That face, Amy.
That's all right.
Oh yeah, I keep it.
I'm
real.
with you. Yeah.
That's all right. Look, you know,
We're Team Danny Rand over here.
I am Team Danny Rand.
But that's the great thing, though, with like Defenders is regardless how you feel about him, the interactions between all of them is so what's entertaining. So Luke Cage, I don't love Danny Rand as a character, but I'm excited to see him and Luke Cage together.
They were so good together. I mean, I said at the time, I think I said on the show that if they just whatever they wanted to talk about, I was in. I was just really interested in it.
Though I must say, he was at Comic-Con, the actor for Danny Rand, and he's super nice. So then I'm like, I
Finn
can't
Jones,
really
yes.
hate you because you were so pleasant.
See, that helps. Goes a long way.
It was.
So our the final comment that we're going to have here is that we have another Marvel movie opening this weekend. It is not a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie, but it is a Marvel character. Deadpool 2. I'm excited because I thought Deadpool 1 was funny, but I found a lot of people are a little bit less excited about it. But I just think he's fun. He makes me laugh. And I love Colossus in the first one. Negasonic Teenage Warhead, such a minor character. It was great that they turned her into something that was so great in the first movie. And we're going to get Cable. So, I don't know. I'm really looking forward to this. You know, I was not looking forward to it more than Infinity War, but now we have to look past it. So we will talk a little bit about Deadpool 2, those of us who see it. I know you won't see it, Michael. Have you seen Deadpool 1 yet?
I have not.
Yeah,
I do want to see that. I'm going to see both of them. But I just really don't know a lot about the X-Force.
Yeah.
They've just never been a team that I really followed.
They're no Generation X. That's really what it
There's
comes
this
down to.
really cool like little featurette that I believe it's like the Hulk versus Wolverine, and they delve into the whole. I believe it's the X-Force because it's Deadpool, Wolverine, also what's the guy with the tentacles and he's red? Omega Red?
Yes.
I believe Omega
yeah.
Red and some other characters that I believe are the X-Force.
I'm familiar with the
into
characters, but not really the storylines, like big players
But you can
like
still love
Domino
the movies,
and Shatterstar.
regardless.
And, yeah, when Deadpool came out, I didn't know it was going to be opening into a whole... I mean, he just told me the other day that Deadpool was part of the whole Sony thing. I didn't know that.
Well, there's Fox, but because
Or,
Sony Spider-Man, so
Sony,
yeah.
Fox, yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to keep track, yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about it just over on Box Office of Deadpool opening weekend was higher than Iron Man and higher than Guardians. And pretty much one of the higher early superhero movie thing opening weekends, box office wise. Also, it's like one of the first R superhero ones that was huge. I mean, Blade's rated R, but that's a different kind of
Blade's
superhero.
rated R
Darkman.
and
Yeah,
Watchmen.
like those are a
Another
little different.
Ryan
but in
Reynolds
this like
movie.
new renaissance of superhero
Yeah.
movies, it's one of the only like rated R. And the fact that it made so much for a rated R movie set precedents to do other ones, because then Logan could be like, we can do rated R, and now we'll be like, yes, we want our rated Rs.
Yeah, and I think that's really, I think that's interesting because you can tell those stories, you can tell them not rated R, but you're able to kind of push the envelope a little bit more, and I think Deadpool really works that way. So we'll see. We'll give our thoughts. Who's planning to see the movie this weekend? All right, so the three of us are,
I'm going to see it soon.
but not in the theater. Maybe once
know.
you're back in Tennessee, maybe
Yeah, maybe
you'll
in
sneak into the
Tennessee I'll
back
go
row.
to the theater.
Well, we'll find out. Anyway, let us know if you're going to see it this weekend and give us your thoughts, and we'll talk about it all spoilery next week. But we are out of time for this week. We actually went a little long, but that's part of the fun. So we will be back next Sunday night at 10 Pacific, and if you're watching this on the archive, that's great. You can just subscribe on iTunes, and for those on YouTube, Kari, what do they do?
You all can comment down below.
And you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at ChristianDMZ. Michael, where do people find you?
You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Michael X Shirley.
Amy.
You can follow me, subscribe, all of that at Amy Cassandra MTZ, and also check out Screen Junkies news tomorrow at 11 Pacific Standard Time.
AM.
Standard Time.
I think you
Yeah.
should specify also AM, or PM.
Oh, definitely.
You just been saying
AM.
11 Pacific Standard Time.
That's
cool.
true. AM.
And Kari, where do people find you?
Yeah, you guys can find me online at Kari D Lane. That's KaridLane.
We don't have time to promote Tony. Just kidding, Tony. At TonyBTony_. That's where people find you. And we will be back, as I said, next Sunday. But until then, Excelsior!
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later!
From executive producers Maria
Views expressed
Menounos,
herein are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.